in London. I've once heard that the theatre in London is second only to Broadway, which is ironic because we had theatre in London, but long before we had it in New York, but there you have it. Nevertheless, it's quite big, there's a lot of shows to see, and we caught a handful of them. One interesting thing about theatre in London is you can bring your food, you can buy food at least at intermission or whatever, and bring it into the theatre, which I don't really see that a lot here. Most theatres say absolutely no food or drink, but I think they figure they make a lot of money with that, so why not? You could bring your beer or your drinks in there as long as you pour them into a plastic cup first, so no bottles. But that's just an interesting thing. There's only like one, maybe two theatres that don't allow the food in there that I went to. The Royal Opera House, of course. Oh, another thing about it is that for like all of the shows, if it's a very old show like Les Mis or Phantom, you don't usually get your like top level actors as the leads. I mean, your A-list actors kind of want to probably be in like the A-list shows. And so if the show's been around for 30 years, you're probably not going to get the, I mean, not to say that the leads aren't great, it's just you're not going to get the greatest people in those shows. Another cool thing is you sometimes get surprise upgrades. You go and you collect your tickets, and next thing you know, they're like giving you an upgrade. They say, hey, we changed your seats. Like, what? What'd you do that for? We give you better seats. Oh, well, thank you. So a couple times, actually it's happened to me 3 times so far, so that's really a nice bonus when they like just surprise you with better seats, because sometimes I buy the cheap seats and they're like way up there, and then you get to the point where you're almost disappointed that they didn't upgrade. It's like, wait, these are the seats I paid for. What's going on here? Oh, finally, there's not a lot of meet and greet after the shows there. I don't know. For all the ones I've been to, I've stuck around a few times and I wait outside the stage door and say, oh, I'm gonna meet a famous actor, and yeah, they often don't come out. Jesse Eisenberg came out and he kind of ran. I mean, he was like, just did not want to talk to people. I guess he's a shy guy or something like that, but other people will. It's just hit and miss. Unless they know someone important there to see them, they don't seem to hang out. Good to know. So the shows we saw, As You Like It at the Globe Theatre, second time to the Globe, and like the first time, did a grounding experience, but and it was a good show. Good, interesting. They have some cross castings, which they're already kind of cross-dressed roles, or cross-gender roles. It's very interesting, but it kind of like almost like sorted things out to be like normal again. But the thing is, I don't know. I mean, the first time I was able to stand it, but this time at intermission, I was like, this is too much standing. So we took off after intermission. It was a good show. It's just sometimes, if you've been walking around all day, traveling all day, it's hard to stand for another 3 hours for a show. So that was As You Like It, Globe Theatre. But great experience. If you've never been to the Globe, go to the Globe. But consider paying a lot. It's a lot more to sit, but you might want to consider paying a lot more to sit.
Globe Theatre, As You Like It, London. If you've got the means, if you got the time, you got to get out here and see it. It's like £5. We're going to be standing for 3 hours, but it goes by so fast. Now the people up there, they obviously pay a lot more money, but they do get to sit down, and you can bring a cushion, and it's nice and relaxing. Here you got to stand, and it's a little bit of a workout, but you can do it. Again, a very good deal. £5. And then the shows are just awesome. This is like one of the best. This is the best theater in the world, really, as far as Shakespeare is concerned. So, check it out. The Globe Theatre, London. Sitting here. The key word, ladies and gentlemen, is sitting here, my friends, because I've been standing for actually not even that long, maybe an hour and a half. But when you stand in place for an hour and a half and you're wearing I don't know, 10 pounds of stuff and a coat and a cider in your pocket, it gets tiring. And I know I did it 2 years ago and it was easier then, but I think after traveling all day and a flight of little sleep and walking around, I think my back was just like gone. So it's intermission, and finishing Act 2 it probably will not be possible, just because, or not Act 2, well, the second half. I mean, it would have been 3 acts so far, Act 4 and 5. But I mean, it's well done, it's fun, it's lively, it's entertaining, it's a great comedy. But and it's the Globe. But yeah, sometimes standing for a long time is just painful. So I'm in pain. I'm not now because I'm sitting at last. My back remembers the pain, and the thought of adding more pain, it's just not gonna happen. I don't think my back's rebelling, so you're not gonna do it. Ain't gonna, can't let you do it. So anyway, yeah, Shakespeare Globe, right on the river. You can see behind me. Look at that. Oh, that's so cool, isn't it? Well, it would be the second half, but I don't know. It hurt. I mean, nah. I can do some walking. I want some ice cream.
Second show, first time I've seen it, was The Play That Goes Wrong, and this is just a comedy. Even in the advertising, everywhere you see in London, it's always like advertised, you know, like there's always an error or a glitch or something wrong with the advertising. Outside the theater door, there's a lot of neat stuff too, but the show itself is just this complete comedy of errors. Really great show, lots of fun action, and just everything going wrong that you can think of during a show.
Oh, the play tonight was a comedy called The Play That Goes Wrong. Heard great things about it. Saw like the sister play a couple years ago. Got to the theater, and I'm getting my tickets for the box office, and the gentleman says, "Oh, you're in the back. You're very high up in the back." And I'm thinking, I know. I didn't want to spend a lot of money on the seats, and I'm thinking he's going to tell me about safety, like don't try not to fall down. And he's like, "Why don't we see if we can get you some better seats?" I'm like, okay. And so he like moves us down to these great seats. I mean, it's like upper level, but it's still like the best you can get in the upper level, and that helped a lot. Funny play, really great stuff. I don't want to spoil anything. It's everything you heard it would be. It's a very, very funny comedy, and you'll be surprised, I guess. So check it out.
And this is one where we had upgraded seats too. So it makes it just helps if you're closer to the audience. It just, you can see more, you can experience it, you know, in a fuller way. The one thing about this particular show is you just got to know that the joke kind of runs thin after a while, because it's kind of like the same thing. I mean, things going wrong. That's the whole bit of the comedy. So after a while, that type of joke, that kind of the thread, yeah, it gets a little less funny after a while. It's still a great show, but just kind of keep that in mind, that it's hard to pull off a full 2 hours with the same joke. I mean, it's not the same joke, but you know what I mean. If you do go see it, interesting thing, if somebody sneezes and the actor responds to it, just take note of that and let me know if that happens, because sometimes it's a very funny bit, but sometimes you almost think it's kind of like a part of the show. Not that it's written in particularly because you have to have somebody sneeze, and I don't think there's any Confederates in the audience, but I just think it's kind of part of the show that if someone does sneeze, they respond, kind of act like you're breaking him. I don't want to give things away. Never mind. You know, just forget I said anything. Third show was Manon. This is a ballet, but at the Royal Opera House with the Royal Orchestra, and it was very well done. In fact, the orchestra was one of the best things about it. This is just such a professional orchestra. I didn't hear them making any mistakes. They just play great music. They even had two harps. Two harps! I mean, just how often do you see that? But they were fantastic. This was another one we were at the very, 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 very top standing seats. They're only like £6, or maybe not even that, maybe £4 or something like that. Incredibly cheap, but again, you gotta stand and extremely far away. So even there was like seats in front of it. It was kind of tough to see. Unless you kind of scooted out into the aisle a little. But binoculars were so important for this. This was another one where we considered after the first intermission we're going to leave because the standing's getting tiring. But usually in something like that, you can see there's extra seats. Open seats, people don't show up, this tickets didn't sell. So at that point, just kind of like move over, readjust. I don't know, people don't seem to care. The ushers at least. I mean, I think it's just kind of part of the thing. It's like, why keep the seats open if no one's sitting there? But it's a risk you take, because maybe people will be sitting there. But that helps a lot. So we stayed for the whole thing just because we were able to find some of the empty seats. But again, the binoculars are extremely important because it's still so far away, it's kind of hard to see what's going on. Now overall, and it was a good production, I'd say it was hard to kind of follow what's going on, but that's kind of like an opera and ballet. I don't care that much. I mean, I could read ahead of time, but I don't want to spoil things, so that makes it kind of like a catch-22. As far as like the moves and the choreography, it was good. It's just kind of like you were kind of hoping for, like, I mean, you're expecting the world's best. You want to see that the difficulty level be a little higher, even though, you know, that runs the risk of things going wrong. But I kind of thought, it kind of seemed a little conservative, like holding back, like maybe the moves could have been a little more impressive overall. But maybe they had to choreograph it to a certain type of tradition. I don't know. I didn't ask any questions. That's just my opinion. Oh, the other problem they had was too many bows. I mean, this bows went on for like 10 minutes. It's like, okay, you don't need that many bows. Maybe, again, this could be tradition. That's just maybe what happens in the ballet. I don't know, but it's like at some point, like, just no, go away. We're done. You know, I'm not clapping anymore. But Manon was that's a good show. I saw it before, but we saw it again because I was with somebody new and she hadn't seen it before. But the comedy about a bank robbery. It's kind of the sister show, written by the same company or produced by the same company as what was the first one? The Play That Goes Wrong. So it's different, but kind of the same. But it's a comedy, and they just figure out ways to just make you laugh from beginning to end. Really great show.
just finished at the Criterion Theater in Piccadilly Circus for the play that I should start over now. Let's not start over. Comedy about a bank robbery. A comedy about a bank robbery. We saw the play that goes wrong a few days ago. I've seen this before, but it's such a funny show. I just had to go back. I don't know. I've been doing everything twice or 3 times. No, this is twice. But it's a funny show. So you definitely got us if you want comedies. Comedy about a bank robbery and the play that goes wrong, the 2 that should be on your list for sure. And it was a fun time, and the tickets were on a whim. And if you're on a budget and you don't want to buy the best seats, sometimes those seats that say limited view, they're still worth it. I mean, we were down there in the stalls in the 2nd row and 3rd row, and that was actually great seating. And it was like you missed a tiny bit, but it didn't matter. So sometimes that's worth it. I mean, the people are like 2 seats away from me, were paying like $80, and like, holy cow. But for me, it was worth it. So, comedy about a bank robbery, the play goes wrong, London, you gotta be here.
Again, we picked cheaper seats. This was like actually in the stalls, but off to the side. So it said limited view. So there was a few points where people were like out of vision because they were off to the side of the stage. But it actually rarely happened at all. And for the price, it was still a great deal. And you're up nice and close. You can see what's going on for the rest of the time when you can see them. This is one actually. I think it's funnier. Actually, I like it more than even the play that goes wrong. And not a lot, but a little bit more. I like it more than 39 Steps. In fact, this time, the second time I saw it, I thought it was funnier even than the first time. So I think it's just great. I highly recommend that one. The comedy about a bank robbery. Also, this is one you're not going to see at too many places because the sets, it's like almost like stunts. I mean, they're literally hanging on the walls at certain points. So you're not going to see it at too many places. Definitely amateur theater's not going to be able to do that because, I mean, there's no way to get these sets like done that way. So maybe New York City and huge professional houses perhaps, but it's just so impressive. You have to see it to know what I'm talking about. Next show was chess. I had never seen chess before. I knew of it. Actually, I knew a few songs of it, and I assumed it would be about chess, and it was about chess. This time we didn't get upgraded. They gave us our tickets, and I'm looking, I'm like, wait, what are you doing? These are the tickets we paid for. Like, no, upgrade us. But what can you do? We're stuck in the seats that we bought. And it's a good show. The plot's actually pretty interesting. A pretty interesting story, kind of like a dedication to chess. And they even made that pretty exciting. I mean, chess, I like chess, but I don't know if it's the most entertaining thing in the world to other people that actually aren't playing the game. But I found it pretty interesting. The songs are kind of hit and miss. Some great ones and some like, I don't know. So you kind of understand why it's not one of the top 10 musicals, but still, it's a pretty good musical. They even bring in one of those Russian drinking songs, a la, Fiddler on the Roof, and that works every time. If you can play that kind of music and have people dancing around doing that Russian dancing, that'll bring the house down, of course, just because people seem to love that theme. Everybody having a good time, and you're watching people having a great time, then you're gonna have a good time. So it's a winning ticket. Another thing they used in this one was sort of cameras. So there would be 4 cameras, I think, going on, recording the actors. It was sort of like worked into the script, like it was being recorded for the media. But this was good because they could project it on these big screens off to the side so you actually could see what was going on, like nice and close. You didn't have to be down because we were extremely far away. No upgrade this time and no moving seats this time. So that really actually made a big difference in the show. You can actually see, they didn't really get the chess game very well because, you had to kind of like, I used the binoculars to kind of see the chess game because I was curious. They actually have to be playing a real game of chess, but they would have had to memorize it to have, it's just interesting when you think, man, that's got to be pretty tough to do, memorize an entire game of chess. Actually, several games of chess. So overall, yeah, I liked it. If chess were to be done out here in the Bay Area, I might actually even go see that. Might even audition for it. Last show, probably the 6th time I've seen it over the years. I mean, since 2002. But The Woman in Black, one of my favorites. I just like the story and the way it's done with a lot of sight and sounds. Well, sight and sound, yeah, what else is there? But they rely on like sound effects, so not special effects as much, sound effects and darkness, and it really works. It's considered a thriller, and it's a really engaging kind of ghost story type show. And luckily they did upgrade our seats, went from like upper balcony to the stalls. That was pretty cool. So we're down nice and close. You can see the actors, see what's going on. That made a huge difference. I was very thankful about that upgrade. And if you don't know the show, well, I kind of told you about the show, but it's like mainly just 2 men, and they have to portray different accents and voices to kind of portray all the different characters. And it's like a long ghost story, and it's pretty intense. It's got some good scary bits in it, and if it works, you'll know because the audience will scream. So if you got a show where the audience screams, then that can be pretty exciting. So those are the shows. I think 5 or 6 of them, and totally worth it. I would have seen more, but my friend, she didn't want to see too many shows. So I was like, all right, that's a good balance. I am currently on the Ghosts of London walking tour, quite far in the back, I guess, and we're in St. James Park right now, which is kind of fun. You can hear some of the fowl quacking, squawking, I guess quacking, and there are some ducks and geese and stuff on the lake. Can't really see it. It's very dark. It's very dark out here, but it's still open. It's kind of cool that the parks stay open all night, so you can kind of come out here if you want. You know, at your own risk, of course. Not just the ghosts, but people too.